Hello everybody! I have a very special guest. I have the best looking member of the Anderson family joining me here to talk a little bit about budget and finances. We're going to get really personal. You're going to see a lot of really personal information on here, so if you don't like seeing numbers about money, if that makes you uncomfortable, this probably is not a video for you. But I'm going to turn the time over to Dan, my wonderful husband, to talk a little bit about how he does our budget, how he has done our budget in the past, and maybe some changes that have happened since we have decided to get out of debt. And he may actually have to take hold of the selfie stick if our baby keeps crying.
Okay, well I'm not an Excel wizard, and so everything on here is very simple, and I think the craziest thing I do is like copy and paste and auto sum. So this section here on the right is all of our have to pay expenses every month, whether that's a mortgage or how much money we're going to designate towards food or cell phones or all kinds of stuff like that. So what I do is, as I'm approaching 2 or 3 weeks to the end of the month, I will do our budget for the upcoming month, and sometimes I'll have added expenses here. Basically anything over $50 I'll add in for the budget. So you can see down here on the screen we've got Valentine's Day coming up. That's a non-routine expense, so I've designated $60 in the budget for Valentine's Day. Anything under $50 has to come out of our envelopes that we put together. So this is what a weekly budget looks like. I'll designate the week. I always designate when the paydays are. I'm a nurse and sometimes earn overtime, so I go off of what would be my base pay if I were just taking PTO. That way we never overextend ourselves. The amount above here is what was left over from last week, as you can see here. So what I'll do is I'll take this amount that's left over from last week, I'll put it here.
Is that in our checking account?
This is the money that's still in our checking account.
Okay.
So then we will add the paycheck that's coming in, and that'll be the total here that we expect to have available this week in the checking account. All here is all of our expenses. The first 4 items here are cash that I withdraw every time we go shopping per week, and these are stuck in a cash envelope and can save up over time on a weekly basis to help purchase for things. Like I said, anything that's over $50 we'll budget into the budget, otherwise it has to come out of these envelopes as they add up. As you can see, I have an oil change here that's going to be $60, so that is going to be added to the budget that normally wouldn't be there. Our grocery budget for the week, $125, our gas budget, our tithing, which we pay to our church, my student loan, and this is how much money we anticipate putting towards debt with this paycheck. So then we take the total here. So this is what's in the account. These are the total expenses. Subtract those out, and we go to this number here.
I'll go get the baby.
This number here, and then it will transcribe over to this next week. So since there's not going to be any paycheck on this week, we just anticipate we're going to be staying steady at this number here. Once again, here's all our envelopes, our food, gas, and the expenses, and on we go. This number subtracted by that number equals this one, which is carrying over in our account to next week. And on we go. You know, this is my wife gets this paycheck for her side job that she does, and on we go. And we've got all of our expenses all laid out for an entire month, so that I know that there's not going to be a time when we crash. And this is how we do it. We follow these amounts. We're very good at coming in really close on our grocery amount. That's honestly the place where we most overspend. So the last thing I'm going to show you here is that I'll state a goal for that month. So our goal actually for February is to have finished paying off our second mortgage. So we've got this amount left here on our second mortgage. And counting up all the times that I've set away $700 during February, we're estimated to be paying an extra $2,100 towards our debt for this month. So we'll be able to pay off all of the second mortgage and then start in on our first car loan, which is our next step in our Snowball. I was really inspired to start doing this. Here's another program that I use. As you've noticed from my spreadsheet, I'm a very simple guy. This is unbury.me. That is a good way to kind of picture out how long we're going to have to work on this debt snowball. So as you can see, this is our total debt that we're working on. All here on this sidebar are our listed debts. And the cool thing about this is it'll set it up snowball or avalanche style for you. So we're going to go the snowball route, and as we tick across here, we can see when it's anticipated when certain debts are going to be paid off. So this is a really good way to see if we're on track for doing this. So as you see, February of 2017, by the end of the month, we are scheduled to be done with that second mortgage. And then the goal, if we follow this route here, putting as much money towards as we can, is to have this this first car paid off by July. And then it doesn't allow us to do this in the program, but the next debt would be one of my wife's consolidated loans. But instead of doing that, we're going to do the other car payment. So it essentially amounts to the fact that hopefully our Christmas present by the end of this year is we'll have our second mortgage and both our cars paid off, and then we'll only have student loan debt left. So as you progress along here, we can kind of see the timeline, and it says here on the program for us that our goal is that in February 2020 we'll be completely debt free. The other thing I'm going to point out is here is our monthly payments. So what this amounts to is what's the total amount we pay in just the minimum payments towards our loans, plus how much more we could potentially put into it. So when I first put this money in, well, let's see if I can replicate what it looked like. It was about $1,200 less.
Were those just the minimum payments that
Yeah, the minimum payments. So
without paying extra.
Yeah, so if we were just to do the minimum payments with paying just a little bit extra from every once in a while getting some overtime, our debt-free time computes to 5 years, and if we were just to let them go at their minimum payments, it was something like 10 years. So when you look at that, you're just like, wow, that's really abysmal. It's very depressing. But we found out as we were calculating it that if I were just to work 48 hours a week, it would produce enough overtime to cut us from 5 years to 3 years. So that's kind of what we're doing, and that's kind of what the whole debt snowball is about, is that it's kind of be uncomfortable for a time and be really disciplined be disciplined for the rest of the time, but be very disciplined for a shorter amount of a time in order to become debt-free. We're looking very forward to being debt-free and the benefits of being debt-free, and we had an experience where we went and tried to Dave Ramsey gives advice that in order to get logs rolling down the river, sometimes you got to blow up some of the logs. So we try to go blow up our big old expensive car, and to be able to flip it over into a lesser car, and we'd still owe money on it and have a crappier car. So at that point we just kind of had to say, well, we're going to keep a reliable car and we're going to work our butts off, and we're going to be debt-free in 3 years. And then we're never gonna finance a car or anything else again. And yeah, that's how I manage our budget. I'm very much so like a week by week guy. If you're gonna eat an elephant, you got to eat it one bite at a time, and you've got to make sure it's salted and seasoned so that you can live with it for a while. And me and my wife have been through several graduate programs and educational programs, and that's how you get through these things. A master's degree program and bachelor's and nursing and all that. One step at a time, and make sure it's something that you can tolerate for a while. Otherwise, you're just going to fail on it, and it doesn't matter how strict you are for a certain amount of time.
Okay, there you have it. That's how we do our budget and our debt snowball, and it's something that we can definitely do over the long haul. Just like with weight loss, which is what my channel is about mostly, you got to do something that you can do for the rest of your life. And Dan here actually reached his goal weight last year, so he is on maintenance and I'm still in weight loss mode. And with our debt snowball and our weight loss goals, we're definitely working on being disciplined and doing that together, and it's awesome. So thanks for watching. See you next time.